If you have a business and you've been wondering which cards to go for in this year, then you're in the right place because that's exactly what we're going to be breaking down. Now, we're going to be grading each of these based off of three key metrics. We're going to be looking at how easy they are to get, the average limits each of them give out, and the overall banking options apart from the credit card itself. This means that we're going to be taking a look at all the products, not just the credit cards that each of these banks have to offer that you can graduate to in things like business loans, business lines of credit, and even business vehicle financing. So you're essentially getting a 3-for-1 in this video where we're breaking down the banks, we're breaking down the credit cards, and we're breaking down real-time data points. Now let's start it off with a popular choice, which is going to be Chase. Now the two main products that business owners fall in love with Chase is going to be their Ink Business Unlimited and their Ink Business Cash. Now, if you're familiar with these two business credit cards, then you know you can get 0% interest for up to 12 months for each of them. But apart from the two business credit cards, there's a few things that I personally like with Chase that we've seen success in whenever we're coaching our clients. And that's going to be some B-locks that our clients have been able to get access to. Now, if you're wondering, how long do I have to be in business in order for me to get access to that? Here's how it breaks down. If you've been in business for at least 2 years, meaning your LLC, your S Corp is at least 2 years of age or older, then you're able to apply for the business line of credit with Chase. Now, the cool thing about this that makes them a little bit different from other banks is that you don't need the longest relationship with them. Here's what I mean by that. Some banks require for you to be in business with them for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years before they even offer options like this. With Chase, as long as your business is over 2 years old, then you're able to apply for that business line of credit. Now, if you're wondering, Irv, are they going to ask for my tax returns? Are they going to ask for my bank statements? Here's what we've noticed, again, off of all the files that we've helped underwrite with our clients. As long as that business is over 2 years old and you have what I would refer to as A1 credit, at least a 750 or greater with at least 5 or more accounts on your personal credit, because you are going to be personally guaranteeing it, then you can get up to $250K, no doc, meaning you're not going to have to present your tax returns. Now, before I go any further, that doesn't necessarily guarantee that they may or may not ask for that tax return on the back end. We're just going based off of the case studies that we have laid out. Remember, banks are always changing up their rules and their guidelines. So one of the best ways to find this out is by walking directly into the bank and speaking to one of their business bankers. Now, Chase offers something that I don't think enough business owners take advantage of, and that's known as the reallocation rule. Here's how this works. Let's say that I have a Chase Business Ink card. I have two Chase Business Ink card. One's 20K and the other one is 25K. Let's say that I'm looking to make a big purchase that's over the total amount that I have for both my cards, but I want to put it on one card. So let's say it's a 30K purchase. Rather than splitting it 20K and 25K, I can move the limits from one card to the other. So let's say that I move 10K from one of the Chase Business Ink cards over to the other. That now puts me at $35,000. Now, the cool thing about this is that you can also do this on the personal side, but you can also play this game over on the business side. And then you can rinse and repeat the process within that 0% intro window, which is a super cool thing to do. Now, the easiest way to get into Chase from what we've seen is by having the following. You want to establish a banking relationship with Chase. They're heavy on the liquidity side, which means you want to have at least $3,000 or more in either a business checking account or in a business savings account. Now, Chase also has something known as the 524 rule, and that means that you can't have more than 5 new accounts within the last 24 months. But the cool thing about this is that that rule becomes obsolete if, one, you apply through a business banker, or number two, if you're going for business credit lines or business credit cards altogether. Now, in terms of difficulty for getting approvals or how much you can expect to get on your credit lines, I would not be looking at Chase as my first business credit line, especially if you have a weaker credit profile. Nothing below 5 accounts. Again, you can give this a shot yourself. I'm giving you based off of what we've seen. Nothing below 5 main trade lines reporting on your FICO score. If you have less than a 720, the same time last year, I probably would have said 700 would have done the trick. Nothing less than a 720 at the time of this recording. Our clients are seeing anywhere between 15 to about 35K in approvals with Chase per card. Next up, we have American Express. American Express is a super popular choice for a lot of entrepreneurs, whether you're a startup or you are an existing business. You have your Business Blue Plus, you have your Business Blue Cash, you have your Business Platinum, Business Plum, Business Gold, and Business Green. Now, I personally like the Business Platinum, the Business Gold, and the Business Plum, which is the ones that I've used in my own business. But something that makes American Express a little different from your traditional financial institutions is they don't just stop at credit cards. They have charge cards. So remember the products that I mentioned earlier, which is your gold, your green, your plum? Yeah, those are charge cards. And here's the main difference with charge cards and your traditional credit cards. When you get a traditional credit card, you're going to get what's known as a credit limit. So whenever you apply for a credit card, similar to what you see on the personal side, happens on the business side, where let's say, congratulations, you're approved and you now have a credit limit of $25,000. Congratulations. But whenever you're approved for, say, a charge card, it'll tell you you've been approved for the card. And when you open it on the app, it never tells you what you're approved for. And the reason for that is because charge cards give you what's known as a preset spending limit. So let's say that I'm gonna make a big purchase. Let's say it's a $10,000 purchase. And I can go right into the app, type in $10,000, and then it lets me know if I'm pre-approved for that purchase. And again, this makes it a little bit different from what you typically see on the just bare bones basic credit limit side, because sometimes you'll get more than a $10,000 purchasing power. Sometimes you'll have that bumped up to 15, 20K. So if you're wondering, should I use that for my own business? I'll ask you, if you have a line of work, or if your line of work requires you to maybe pay something up front and you know you're going to get paid out within the next 15 days or a 30-day cycle, kind of like if you're running ads, it's one of the best examples that I can use because that's how we use it. Then in my opinion, I'm using a charge card all day because I can also get Forex points on the ads and all the marketing that we run if we're using like a Plum, or if we are maybe constantly doing travel. Then at that point, I'm looking at the Business Gold. Now, when it comes to other products with American Express, they do have a business line of credit option with their, again, American Express brand. Now, it used to be, if you've been keeping up with them, it used to be Kabbage, but they since got bought out by American Express. And so we had a client that got approved for, I believe it was, do we have it on here? I think it was 110K on the business line of credit, and they didn't have to show taxes. But catch 22 on that was they did have a business over 2 years old. So if you're kind of catching the drift here when it comes to getting access to business lines of credit, you want to play the longer game with just about every bank. The difference is that you can still get access to credit lines. It'll just be on the business credit card side. Now, if you're looking at how you can work your way into the American Express business ecosystem, here's my recommendation. It helps to have 1 to 2 personal credit cards with American Express before jumping over to the business side. But unlike Chase, you don't have to have liquidity in an account, meaning you don't need to have a checking or savings account in order to increase your approval odds. In fact, I haven't really seen it make much of a difference with our clients. But what I have seen make a heck of a lot difference is when someone already has 1 to 2, even 3 in most instances, personal credit cards already approved for, because that way it's just an easy transition. See it as a bridge for that business line side. And like Chase, American Express also has the reallocation rules that they have inside of their bank, which means, again, you can move limits between cards. But I like American Express a little bit more. Here's why. The difference is Chase only allows you to move limits from personal to personal, business to business. American Express, however, lets you do personal to personal, personal to business, and business to business. This means that if I had an everyday cash card and it had a 10K limit, and I wanted to move 5K from that card over to, let's say, a Business Blue Cash, I'm able to do that even though it's going from a personal to a business account. Now, the caveat to this, though, is that you can't move limits between charge cards, and you can't move limits from business backwards over to your personal side. So once it's done, it's done. Now, when it comes to difficulty in getting approved for American Express and what you can expect in terms of the limits, American Express is pretty reasonable. I've seen people with up to 11 hard inquiries get approved for some of the products, which is unheard of in just about every other bank that you can think of. So this same time last year, again, I probably would have said a 680, which again is why I'm making this updated video, because data points constantly change. I would have said a 680. I'd say now with American Express, nothing less than a 700. And again, that's bare bones minimum. That's not where you want to aim for. You want to be well above a 700 to get approved for one of their products. And then when it comes to corporate side, because if you go on their website right now, you'll see where it says personal cards, business cards, and corporate cards. And sometimes people confuse that. If you have a business right now, even if it's brand spanking new, you can apply for some of their business credit lines. However, if you wanted to go to their corporate and only have it corporate guaranteed, then your business would need to be generating between $2 to $3 million a year. And in most instances, in order for you to qualify for that non-PG program, it's invite only. So just a heads up on that. Everything that you're going to see in this video is going to be personally guaranteed. Next up, we have Capital One, which is going to be your Capital One Venture X and your Capital One Spark card. Now, I was not going to include this bank and these credit cards in this video today, but the main reason why I did is for two things. Number one, is they're one of the easier business credit cards that you can get. And number two, I'm a big fan of their personal products because I've used them myself. So for this one, let's start out with what I don't like, which is the cons. Look, even though it's going to be relatively easy for you to get approved for a Spark card, like out the gate, you may not have the best personal credit because remember, you're personally guaranteeing this anyways. One of the biggest reasons why I don't like this is because anything that you purchase on the Spark side, anything that you purchase on the venture side is going to not only report over on your personal credit, but it's also going to report over on your business credit. Every other product and just about 98% of the other business credit lines that are out there don't do this, which is why I'm not the biggest fan of this. So if you're maybe a little lost or you're wondering, okay, how does that actually affect me? Let me give you an example. If right now you were to use a Chase Business Inc. card and you had a $30,000 purchase, that's only going to get reported over to the business credit bureaus, which is good for you because that doesn't plummet your utilization on the personal side. The whole purpose why so many people even get involved in wanting to get access to business credit is so they can start removing their finances and stop riding what I call that hamster wheel of utilization hell. So what ends up happening is that with Capital One, let's say that you have that same $30,000 purchase, whether it's a venture or Spark card, that's going to report over on the business side. And then you're also going to see it next month when that cycle hits over on your personal side, which ends up hurting your FICO score. Now you can say, yeah, well, I can just end up paying that statement off, every month like I typically do. You can, but banks are always risk mitigating. And what this means is that if they see an abnormal purchase, because sometimes business purchase, as a matter of fact, not sometimes, most times, business purchases are going to be bigger than personal purchases. They're going to see that this is an abnormal expense. And in order for them to mitigate that risk, that's when you see them start slashing down the limits. So them slashing down your personal limits has a direct impact on future credit approvals when you try to apply for business credit lines. Now, I do want to talk about the pros that I like with Capital One. Capital One Venture, Capital One Saver, they're some of the best cards you can get for travel, especially when you're starting out. They were one of my first credit cards when I first started. I believe it was a Quicksilver card. Now, there was something else that I really enjoyed about Capital One. When I was trying to get access to vehicle financing, just about every other bank, believe it or not, and credit unions denied me. Capital One was the only one that approved me for that vehicle loan. And so I wouldn't sleep on Capital One if I'm looking to build out my personal profile because it's going to have a direct impact when I do go to apply and personally guarantee for business credit lines. It just may not be the best product if you're trying to avoid what I just gave you earlier on. But of course, if you are looking for at least an easy win and you're not going to necessarily be using that card much, you just want it so that it can start reporting what's known as comparable credit, then at that point, you're looking at anywhere between a 5 to right around a 15K per line approval. That's right around what you can expect to get. And now last but not least, we have Bank of America. Some popular products with them is the Business Advantage Customized, you have the Business Advantage Unlimited, and then you have the Business Advantage Travel and the Business Platinum Plus. Now, similar to Chase, you'll get a 0% interest intro period, but what makes it a little bit different is that they're actually a little bit less. They're closer to 9 months of 0% interest for that intro period, while Chase is sitting at 12. But still, 0% interest for 9 months is a winner in my opinion. I've actually noticed that getting approved for Bank of America products is a little bit easier than getting approved for Chase products. Not always the case. Again, it varies on the type of business that you have, just going off of what I've seen. But when it comes to Bank of America, one of the most important things that I've also noticed is that their business lines of credit are becoming a little bit more difficult to get. The same time last year, you could have gotten a 50K BLOC with them, no doc, Now that's completely gone away. In fact, they've gotten more strict than what Chase has. So that's like the reverse side of it. I know that I just told you it's a little bit easier to get. On the business credit card side, I've noticed that it's easier to get. On the business loan and line of credit side, unless you have your taxes dialed in, again, at the time of this recording, data points are always changing. That's why I wanted to make this updated video. You're going to need to present your tax returns at least 2 years. Now to offset that, and I haven't seen this anywhere else, but Bank of America had to do something, right? So to offset that, you're able to get a business vehicle loan, even if your business is brand spanking new. You're able to get up to 4 business vehicle loans with just one hard inquiry. That's unheard of because most banks, anytime you're getting a business vehicle, they're going to ding your credit every single time. And in most instances, they're also going to ask you for pay stubs, tax returns, and A1 credit. Now, you still want to have strong credit because it's the only way that you're going to be able to get up to that 4 vehicles, again, with one hard inquiry. But you're not seeing this anywhere else. And it's a nice offset from what they originally had, again, the same time last year, with that no doc program. Now, that's not to say that it can't come back, but that is to say that if you are a business owner, because there's the window of opportunity, no one knows how long it's going to be open for. So if this is a product that you wanted to take advantage of, which is why I'm making this video, jump on it. If you're a startup and you're looking to get yourself a working vehicle under your business's name, jump on it. Tesla doesn't allow you to do business vehicle financing through them. You have to go through a third party. Bank of America is underwriting those all day long. Now, in regards to what they're going to be looking for, how difficult it is to actually get approved with Bank of America, and what you can expect to get, you can expect to get anywhere between 10 to 25K per line. Now, remember, this is all dependent on where your credit is, the type of LLC that you're bringing in, where you're located geographically. Keep that in mind as you're listening to these data points, right? 680 is where that credit needs to be, minimum, starting out. So if you're at a 650 listening to this, the odds of you getting approved for anything at any bank, not just Bank of America, by the way, is slim to none. So when I'm telling you 680, that's just, hey, let's at least start the conversation. That's not necessarily saying that you're going to get approved. So you want to be at that 680 or more. And lastly, similar to Chase, they are going to be liquidity based, which means the more money you have in that account, again, that sweet spot is at least 3K or more. Or if you wanted to make it your primary and have way more than 3K on there, that's totally fine as well. Prior to you applying for any credit lines or even any vehicle financing, even though it's not mandatory, but believe me, it does help buffer that file, the better set you're going to be when you do go to apply for credit lines. So there you have it. If you found value in this content, consider hitting the subscribe button down below. Go ahead and share this with a fellow entrepreneur who's looking to get access to credit lines this year so that they can continue to grow and scale their business. But other than that, I appreciate you guys checking me out. Till next time, everyone, I will see you in the next video.